Change of ASBOs to Crimbos, the youth charity worker Nathan John joins us from central London. Very good evening to you, Mr. John. Was there anything wrong with ASBOs? Did they work? Didn't they work? And is the change proposed by the government going to be any better?
I think with the old ASBOs, it was widely reported that it was seen as, a badge of honour for many youths, and I think this government was quite keen to move away from that and to try to make their stamp on trying to reduce and prevent antisocial behaviour. I commend them for doing that because I think new has to be done, and I'm always in favour of us coming up with new ideas. But sadly, I'm not sure if this is going to be an idea that's going to make the impact that we require. I'm sure the police force and the Home Secretary will agree with me that solutions doesn't lie with them solely, but it's coming up with more holistic approaches to addressing these issues, and actually sometimes looking at the root causes. And the children, young people involved in antisocial behaviour are at times victims themselves, coming from homes that have suffered abuse and in many cases neglect by their parents, and that has to be addressed.
Going to say, I mean, the basic problem is, why they're doing it in the first place, not, how you stop it after the event. The prevention would be much better in the long run, wouldn't it?
They say prevention is better than cure, and that's something I'm a big believer in. And we need to spend a bit more time in looking at, prevention as a way of, trying to stop more young people coming in. Because we've got a mop and there's water draining, and we're cleaning up the water that's draining, but it continues to drain. And we need to stop that, pick up the spilt bucket, find where the leakage is, and ensure that it's stopping, and that we can all live in the communities and societies that we all feel safe and aren't being harassed and bullied by, mindless youths at times.
Are central solutions ever likely to really work when they're imposed from the centre on communities, when presumably most of these things affect small communities around the country and probably need to be addressed by those families, by those communities, by the local councils and so on?
Where I currently live, we've had issues with antisocial behaviour with a small group of youths, and I'm sure everyone in my building would agree that we want to be approached to come up with solutions and to air our views on what we think should be done and how things should be addressed. And I know the police force are under pressure, budget restraints, headcount cuts, all that stuff. And I know they're doing the best they can, but I do think we do need to take that step back and go that step down. And we need a grassroots approach to the problem.
Clearly, a lot of problems, as you say, originally start with families or, dysfunctional families probably, but then drugs and drink do seem to play a substantial part in a lot of antisocial behaviour. Is there a way of addressing those things?
There is a way of addressing, drug and alcohol abuse. And again, it's looking at why are young people abusing drugs and alcohol. Over the last 5 years, my organisation, Youth Enlightenment Limited, has worked tirelessly with thousands of young people trying to address those issues and trying to get to the root causes and finding out, what's the gap. And you'll often find that the gap in their life is the fact that they lack, aspirations, they lack direction. They're not sure where they're going, and there's that void. When you set yourself that goal, you're focused and you're driven. You wake up with that on your mind, and you aspire. And some of the young people are actually lacking this, and they're turning to many things. Sex, or unprotected sex, a range of different things they're turning to try to fill that void. And we need to really speak to them on a one-to-one basis and try to find out what that void is.
Presumably, education or a lack of it is one problem. Then the next step is employment, or more often unemployment. And that, as you say, schooling that doesn't work for kids because they simply don't, it doesn't mean anything to them, and then going out and not getting work after that, are presumably other big problems that need to be factored in here.
Yeah, there's a number of issues. Some said do stem from the home, some that are to do with the environment that the young people are in. and you know the economy. We all know we're back into recession. Europe's got problems. Finding a job is going to be a challenge. And I always talk to young people and say, think about starting your own business, and look at the people like the Bransons of this world, and Sir Alan Sugar, and those who've done just that. And you know, being an employer and not an employee, we all work because we want to pay the bills and have a bit of money. And actually, entrepreneurs are the wealthiest people in the world. So why more of us striving to be entrepreneurs? And that's something I try to get across with them, because at this time things are looking quite bleak, and it's so easy to lose hope and just to think, you know, what's the point? I've got nothing to live for.
I was going to say, when, you know, there's an economic hard time as there is at the moment, it presumably compounds the problems out there of, you know, as you say, a sort of despair, a hopelessness, what's in it for us, you know, no society owes us a living and it's not doing anything about it. Presumably all those things are harder in tough times.
They are, because they're in the public domain, and we know the power of media, we know the power of words, and you know, when everyone hears we're in a recession, that alone causes people to change their behaviours. It changes the way people look ahead and the way they think about, you know, their futures. And there's no way of getting around that, really. But it's about reassuring them that, you know, if they do work hard and they work hard in school, try to get an education, try to get a trade, that, you know, they will find opportunities out there, because there are always things to do. And actually, there's, you know, more millionaires are made during a recession than during, you know, the high period, the boom period, and not many people know that.
Nathan John, good talking to you. That's Nathan John, Chief Executive of Youth Enlightenment charity.